Well, good day to everyone out there, and welcome to the Sandy Bob Blog Talk Radio Show. We are broadcasting live from Wisconsin, and it is Tuesday, January 8th, at least in Wisconsin, 2019, at 12 noon Central Standard Time and 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. And yes, this is a new year. We have a call-in number for our listening audience. It is 1-563-999-3509. Again, that number is 1-563-999-3509. And we will be taking calls at the end of today's show. It's not too cold in Wisconsin today. It's 32 degrees, which isn't too bad for us. We had a blizzardy sleet the other day that left a few inches on the ground, but it has almost melted from yesterday. However, it's very, very windy, and there is a very gray cloud cover which covers the sky today, and that is typical Wisconsin winter weather, something I probably will never get used to nor want to. I always like to see that sun shining. We are going to have 4 guests on our show today. We're going to have Claudette, who is
Hello.
a seer. Yes, just a minute. I'm just gonna give all who's going to be on the show today, and then I will get back to you. We have 4 guests on our show today. We have Claudette, who is a seer from Texas. We have Dean Val. We have Kelsey Lynn Brown and Henry Draper. And we have Val. Claudette, I would like to talk to you first.
Thank you.
Are you there, Claudette? Are you there?
Yes. Can you hear me? Okay.
Yes, I can. Now I can. I would like to know, for our first question, how you found Duane the Great Writer and the new UUU. And I understand that you were a prior Eckankar member. You had been for about 40 years. Is that correct?
Yes. Started with Paul.
Yes. Would you like to tell us a little bit about that, and then how you came into the new UUU?
Yes, sure. Quite an adventure. So, being from Texas and a grandmother, I like adventure. Being in the Eckankar Corporation for many years, it started out with Paul when he was just starting back in the late 60s. He brought a different viewpoint that was so outside of the norm of the day. This country in the late 60s was experiencing growing pains. People were trying new things and seeing what brought them more information. Lots of students were unhappy, the Vietnam War, all of the usual suspects when a country emerges or has growing pains. Paul's message that he brought at that time was very structured and had a protocol that he devised that would help people explore the non-physical world. And of course, during this time, marijuana was being explored, other drugs, LSD, so on and so forth. So new forms of government, protests were being held, and so on and so forth. And people were reaching out, looking around, seeing what else there is on this planet, because it was in terrible shape. When I joined, Paul had put out a newsletter, and he had discourses that you could study once a month. And he set up his organization to have what is called initiations. When you reach a certain level of knowledge, you would be initiated and advance to the next level. Sort of like the old mystery schools in Egypt way back when. After Paul translated, the next person who assumed the leadership role of Eckankar took it down a different path. Then the person after that person took Eckankar in a further different path. Till today, it's hardly recognized as what Paul had presented. It's more like a corporation, a religion, and it follows those protocols. It uses the same word, love and light and levels and that sort of thing, but it only presents a vacant similarity of what Paul had. When Paul had the beginning, there was such vibrancy and light and awareness of something other than the life we were living, the 9-to-5 job, school, so on and so forth. So when he presented soul travel and those concepts, people kind of, well, okay, I'll see what this presents. And a lot of people explored and reached the astral plane. Some went to the mental plane of awareness, the causal, the etheric. Some people have come after many lifetimes of being in a mystery school somewhere, learning these topics and subjects and how to do this. When I came in, it was very, very exciting to explore something different. And the usual people on the street looked at you if you were from Mars because they didn't understand any of that. Excuse me. So as we went on, I stayed in Eckankar for 40 years. So I got to see the transition from Paul to Darwin Gross, and then finally to Harry Klemp. When Harry Klemp took over, I no longer wanted to go to any of the seminars or worldwide conventions. No, they had nothing to offer. It was dead, like dead wood. So I left and started looking again, and I found a group that I thought had similar light in information, and it was called DuanEva, and the leaders were Paul Marche and his wife Tammy, and they were, I guess you could say, students of Darwin Gross, and they presented the information that Paul had, but there was no life there. It was very dark, but I stayed 6 years just to check it out, make sure that what I suspected was correct, and finally, at the end, I left. With that, it was very much like, oh, what else is there? There's nothing on this planet that even comes near to what Paul had. You could not feel the vibrancy, the life that he presented. So I just drifted for a couple of years, and finally, one night I came into a real bad sickness, had a high fever, and wasn't doing too good. But I kept up my inner contact with the guide Rebisar Tars. And one night, when in the middle of the throes of this fever, I heard him say in my ear, "Get up and go to the computer." So it was like 3 o'clock in the morning, 2 or 3 in the morning. So I got up and I said, okay, I'm going to the computer. What should I look for? And so I just started surfing. So finally I typed in truth. And I want to know, is there anything like Paul left? And as soon as I typed in truth and awareness and these words, the wonderful Worldwide Educator site popped up. And I saw the information they presented in a very strange manner to me at the time. But that was my first introduction to Duane Hefner, the wonderful writer. He had books, and so immediately we latched onto that. And I sent in a questionnaire to their main site. And lo and behold, a couple of days later, I received a phone call. And it was Duane Hefner. I couldn't believe he actually called and returned the answer to the question. And I said, "You're really real." I was really surprised. And he said, "Yes, we talked for a short time." And I said, "I'd like to get these discourses and these books so I could begin learning and seeing what happened." So the old fire started to build again. The interest, the quest, the search to know more of what is this creation, this world. What are we living in? Why is this such a mess here on this planet? Are there other people out there? What's going on? Well, I got answers to all these questions in a most unusual way. And I'll share this with you. In the Nupresentation Foundation information, they suggest singing the word New You. And for 10 or 15 minutes before you go to bed at night, and ask a question that you want an answer to, and see what presents itself the next day, the next week, whatever. Somehow you'll hear a conversation, a book will fall into your hands, you'll meet somebody on the street and they'll say something that will trigger you. So when I did my first New You presentation that night, I got a most interesting, what they call dreams, as a real side vision. And this was a story that went like this, which really surprised me. I remember waking up somewhere in an area that was completely black. There was no life. It was dead. And I thought, boy, this is just the way it is right now on the planet Earth. But way off in the distance, I saw a small little bright light, like a tiny flashlight. So I started heading toward that. I started running, actually. It felt like somebody was chasing me, so I ran as fast as I could. And I kept getting closer and closer to the light, and all of a sudden it turned into what would be called like a building facade. Like you would go to an emergency room in a hospital, and they have those sliding glass doors that open when you approach. As I approached, the doors wouldn't open. And I thought to myself, I'm going through those doors into that light no matter what. I'm going to break that glass. And I ran harder and faster, and just as I was about to push in, the doors opened, and I tumbled into the room. It was very bright, very white light, very vibrant, and I landed at the feet of an attendant who was dressed in white pants and shirt like you would see in an emergency room. He had on a little thin brown belt and brown shoes. And I was staring up at Duane, and I said, I made it. And he said, yes, you did. And he helped me up, and that's where the adventure began. So that's how I came to know Duane Hefner and the wonderful Worldwide Educators.
Wow, that's quite a story there, Claudie. Thank you so much. I am going to go... Pardon?
You're welcome, and it's such a pleasure to be here. Thank you.
Thank you. Again, thank you so much.